All right, guys, welcome to a Friday night show, if you will. And I had a good day. Basically, what happened was is worked a little late. Always talking about work. Seems like I'm always working late. And around noon, I'm like, I'm out of here. I got time. I'm done. I'm gone. So I went and got an oil change, and I had a few things out of town that I needed to do. It was adult stuff. Responsibility. And I kept going towards Abingdon, Virginia. Then when I got to Abingdon, I went to Bristol. And when I got to Bristol, I got the comic book shop. And lo and behold, he had just bought a connection. Hey, what's up? A collection. What's up, John C? Good to see you. I also stopped at a flea market that seems to be open on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays around here. 99% of flea markets are just open on Saturdays and Sundays. So apparently it's a thing. So basically, it was just a nice, relaxing drive. We had nice autumn weather here. I mean, it was sunny, but you could roll down your window or roll up your window, and you didn't neither froze nor burned up. And it was just nice and quiet. Had a great cheeseburger today. You know how that is, cheeseburgers and stuff, right? And ended up falling backwards into some comics. So just a spontaneous trip, and still ran into Charles Vess. I'll tell you about that story again. Ran into Charles Vess in the town of Bristol, on the Virginia side, if you will. Charles Vess, for you guys that don't know, is a fantasy illustrator, comic book artist, self-published guy, friend of Neil Gaiman. Had some of their works turned into movies, Stardust, if you will. That's the big one, I believe. He did the comic adaptation of Hook, Steven Spielberg's Hook back in the day, and things like that. So, yeah, it's nice to have some stuff to do a video on. The stuff on be gone this weekend. So there's no rainy Sunday show, but they will return one day. So I think the first thing that we're going to do. Oh, I also got some comic books. I forgot to tell you last weekend. I went to Boone, North Carolina. One of my buddies messaged me, let me know there's a comic book convention down there. We were going to meet up, which we did, but I got there earlier than everyone else. And it was the craziest thing because it was, I don't know what it was, Boone. Anyway, it was called a Comic Con, all right, a comic convention, right? In Boone, North Carolina last week, right? It was at the Boone Mall or whatever and stuff, right? Boone, North Carolina. So I go all the way down there, and it's fine. Not a big deal. I have a place to stay down there if I need to. And when I got there, I was like, this is weird because people were setting up and I didn't see any comics. And I kept looking around and people were putting out their handcrafted wands. I don't know if it's Wicca or Harry Potter. I looked around. There were some other people dressed like Brave, the girl from Brave, the Pixar movie. And I started seeing these, I don't know, all these crafts and stuff, if you will, right? I was like, oh no. And there was one person who had a couple of short boxes. I bought a few things off of him, and that was it. One other person did have one little short box that he had $3 a piece on the comics, and that was it. I couldn't believe it. I guess there's something about North Carolina where you can call it a comic book convention, have it run by a advertised comic book shop, which I went to. I'll tell you about that in a minute also. And there was no comic books. So I never thought any time in the world there would ever be Virginia would kind of one up North Carolina or any other state on a comic book convention, because there's one coming up on October 29th that I'll be going to. It's the second time they've had this one, and it was phenomenal last year, right? So anyway, I did end up finding a few books. Went to the local comic book shop after all my friends showed up, because I was not about to tell them on the phone and be the bearer of bad news, but they figured it out real quick. And then when I got to the comic book shop, it was called Dragon's Den in North Carolina, and this is a college town also. And when I got in there, it was all miniature figures and gaming stuff, and they had 2 or 3 short boxes on the bottom shelf and some hardbacks there. I talked to the kid that was working there, and he was like, it's just not economical to have comic books. New comics are not selling enough. They got out, but they still call themselves a comic book convention, and now they do gaming and role playing and host that kind of thing and sell those books and everything you need for that. Battletech, Dungeons and Dragons, what have you, whatever's out there, Warhammer, that sort of thing. So I was like, oh. So anyway, now we can show some comics. But anyway, one of the thing is that this is a celebration, and this really amazed me when I put this on Instagram, which I also shared it to Facebook. But I got a ton of likes on my Facebook and a ton of congratulations from my friends on Facebook and other people, because apparently people who collect cards, comic books, baseball cards, all sorts of things out there amongst the friends on Facebook. I got the most reaction on Facebook, but they totally get when you reach a point where you finally complete a collection. All right. And I found this on eBay. Um, got it for $1.79. The shipping was outrageous. That's as good as it's going to get. And if you get on eBay, I was on Jared Osborne's channel tonight on Cavern of Chaos on his channel and talked a little bit over there and stuff before I did this stream. He said he looked this up on eBay and it was going for, I think it's like 20 to 40 bucks because it's the last issue. I looked up because I just happened to be checking in on eBay trying to get this last issue, and there was an auction going on where this was $1.79 and it had a minute and a half. And it was setting at $1.50 with one bid. So put in $2. I was like, I'm going for it. And then I changed my mind. I was able to hurry up and get in there and go $10. I was willing to go $10, and somehow I came to $1.79. So now we have completed all 31 issues of the immaculate Johnny Quest series from Kamiko. I'm very happy about that. Cause for celebration. Fantastic. And very happy. Something else I got off of eBay that came in today, and I opened this out of the envelope from Fred Hembeck. If you guys know who that cartoonist / comic book artist is. Been around since like the 70s and stuff, doing some great stuff. But I got on eBay, and this is one of my favorite characters as a kid, right? This character was Ben Grimm's best friend, right? And I think it was like in the military and stuff like that. So he kind of predates Reed, I guess, or something, right? Reed Richards or something, right? But I think it was Dr. Doom that had changed him into this creature. And when you're 5 and 6 years old and you're seeing this creature fight Ben, the Thing from the Fantastic Four, and you read the thought bubbles where he's like, he doesn't know I'm his best friend. Well, when you're 5 and 6 years old reading that and knowing that you don't know it's your best friend and they're fighting, that's just enough to tear you up as a little kid, right? But it is Darkoth, right? I was very happy to get this. This is an original sketch card from him. I ended up getting quite a collection of these obscure characters. So Fred Hembeck is on eBay. He puts these out constantly. I follow him on Facebook. So he'll put out these sketch cards saying for sale on eBay. And they're fantastic. These are just really cool. Back in the day, I actually talked to him on Facebook a little bit. He just flat out said, hey man, I just start with a number 2 pencil and go from there with this and stuff. So Darkoth, great Bronze Age character, forgotten, character. Ben Grimm's best friend, but he didn't know it, and they would battle like you wouldn't believe and stuff, right? So that was fantastic. Now, the first thing I want to show is the stuff I got at the flea market today. There's a little bookstore in there. And when I say bookstore, this lady, I used to go in there in the 90s and the early 2000s when they were in another building, and it was just used books, secondhand books all over the place, anything, everything you ever wanted. I saw actual books co-written by Jim Starlin there, which I may have packed up somewhere and stuff, all the way to what to do when you're having a baby and all that stuff. Just anything, everything, well organized. Sci-fi sections, great. $1.50, $1, $2 books and stuff like that. I ended up getting Kingdom Come, the novelization, Last Days of Superman there, some really good stuff over the years and stuff, right? So now they're in a smaller place, and somebody brings them comics. Now, what is sad, not to get all morbid, but when I find stuff like this that's just been handed over and it looks like it's been well taken care of, my mind just goes, it was somebody's died and somebody's family is, just getting rid of the stuff. Sadly enough, when I went to the comic book shop, there was a collection I went through. I just fell backwards into these. And I'll tell you the story about the comic book collection at the comic book shop in Bristol, Virginia, on state line, Bristol, Virginia, Tennessee, that he bought up from somebody's brother because their brother had died. Anyway, so these were $1, and we'll work on the glare here, right? So they get better here and stuff, right? G.I. Joe Special Mission number 2, right? Wasn't really big into the G.I. Joe comics, but I was big into the G.I. Joe, 6-inch figures and things like that. I was big into that. Uh, and for some reason, I'm starting to find these, and if they're in good shape, I get these in the Transformer books. Some of these are upgrades. Some of these I already have, but the Marvel 25th edition uh, anniversary issues that came out in 1986, where you got the border that was drawn by John Romita Jr. of all the heroes, with portraits, I guess, of everyone, like a bust and stuff. Here's the first appearance of Rick Jones as the Hulk. John Byrne had left. Al Milgrom picked up where Byrne left. And then in the future that was coming was Peter David and Todd McFarlane. And Peter David would begin his epic run on the Hulk. G.I. Joe, this is like my second or third one of this, number 53, because it's a Marvel 25th edition. And this was the one that was quite a treat coming up here. If we know the significance of this, what's the guy's name? Johnny Walker or something? Somebody help me out there, right? He became U.S. agent, but before that, he was Captain America. And before that, what was he, the Patriot or something like that? Who knows? But anyway, thanks to the, what was it? The Winter Soldier and Falcon TV show. This book was a key to begin with, and worth a little bit of scratch, but it really popped because of the show. And I went through my collection and it was gone. All I need is really, I think, the Care Bears edition of this. I'm going out there. I've got a collection of all these Marvel 25th anniversary books and the Star comics. For people who don't know, around 85, they had a bunch of licensed properties like Care Bears, Saturday morning cartoon show of Star Wars Ewoks, I don't know, Top Dog, a few other things. They eventually got He-Man, Masters of the Universe, but they licensed them out. They were targeted at kids. And they had the Care Bears and the Ewoks with one of these. Over the years, people became completist for these. And it was the Star Comics that jumped up in value. Muppet Babies. I have the Muppet Babies, Okay, so and then after that one, here's the issue after that, the legendary comic down there. The first appearance of the Slug in this one, that's a key. And then I absolutely love this run. 332 all the way up to 350 was an epic Mark Grunwald story. Captain America gives up the costume and becomes U.S. agent, fights with Iron Man, and leads all the way up to a big fight with the surprise villain, Red Skull, in issue 350, where he becomes Captain America again. I love that run. I followed it monthly, probably in middle school when this came out. And the covers were fantastic. But even back then, there were things going on with how Mark Grunwald would write Captain America that were just, I didn't know the term, but I knew the feeling I didn't like. They were just too on the nose. There's actually an issue where Captain America ends up fighting two dynamic, ambiguously dudes. We'll just leave it that way. And they're called the right winger and the left winger. And with that theme of political, being political and fighting Captain America in Washington, it was just, I get what Mark Grunwald was trying to do, but it was just too much. It was just too on the nose, too contrived. And just, of course, they're going to fight Captain America. It's like you make that costume. You give yourself that name of right winger or left winger because you're going to be fighting Captain America. Who knew? All right. And then we got this great Frank Miller Daredevil. Actually, these are all upgrades, or I already have them, except for issue 240 in here. That was I'm missing from my run. Got this for $1 also. Nuke. This is, this three issue story with Frank Miller writing. I think David Mazzucchelli might have been doing the art at this point. These guys did Born Again, and then this great Nuke story. Nuke ended up going on and becoming something. His first couple appearances are kind of keys, I guess, if you're into that kind of thing. And just beautiful copy, and it's a newsstand. But love this stuff, right? Of course, like I said, nothing real spectacular here, just to fill in, I needed for it. Now, this issue in particular brings up what happened in Bristol today for you guys that are here. This issue of Daredevil, number 247, I get a kick out of, right? Because, number one, it's penciled by Keith Giffen. Keith Giffen did an issue of Daredevil for you guys who are into Keith Giffen or would like an oddity. Keith Giffen was just knocking it out of the park at DC with his Justice League books with Jamie DeMontes, Kevin Maguire. He ended up going into branching off with Justice League Europe, Justice League Quarterly, and all kinds of things. Here, what's up, Breen? Breen's in here now, right? But that's just what's. But at the same time, he ended up popping up at Marvel a little bit during this time. He did some books. He did some books with the new universe, and he popped up and ended up doing a Daredevil. But the cover is by Charles Vess, and he's fighting an alligator. I have seen people actually wrestle alligators. He's doing it wrong. I'll go ahead and tell you, he's just doing it wrong. But today, I told you I had some responsibilities. All right, having a cat in the house sometimes has a downside because every now and then, if there's a bad storm or they get scared or they get pissed, and it's a male cat, it will spray, and you have a musky odor in your house, and you take a little vinegar, and you're able to clean it up if you can find it. I cannot find it, so I wanted to go to Petco. The nearest Petco, Bristol. That's how I ended up doing this little trip. You know, I did not go out for comics. This just happened as I went along. Totally spontaneous. So at the end of the day, probably around 5 o'clock, 4:40, who knows? I end up at Petco, and when I get out of my car and I start walking up the parking lot, I see this person with a cart, and I'm going to tell you they did look a little frail, and they had a Petco shopping cart, and they weren't taking it into Petco. They weren't taking it to where you put the carts up. He was just taking it across from his car and was going to leave it in a parking spot. It was Charles Vess himself. And if you guys still watch this stuff, he's blind. That deserves it. He's blind. How's he supposed to know? Hey, man, you become a hero, you got to be competent, you know. That's hilarious. All right. So anyway, there's Charles Vess. Now, if you watch this, I've told you he lives in Abingdon, around Abingdon, Virginia. I've gone to the movies before at Abingdon, and on a Sunday, it's just nothing to see him walking out. And then last month, there was a Rob Con. I have that video up. I got him to sign over 20 books. Couldn't really get a conversation going out of with him and stuff. And then here he is with the cart. So I walk up there, and I'm like, would you like me to get that for you? And he just like, sure. And he had half a smile on him. I don't know. And he just kind of looked at me, and I just kind of looked at him. I said, you signed over 20 books for me last month at a convention. I got you. All right. And he just had like this smirk on his face. It was when I was driving. Was I driving back? No, it's when I was on Jared Osborne's channel doing Cavern of Chaos with him for a little bit tonight that I realized he probably thinks I work at Petco. You know, not that there's anything wrong with that. You know, yeah, it was funny. So yes, and Charles Vess. Rick Leonard, there's 2 issues that I find fantastic. Rick Leonard, anyway, great artist, doing a little 2-part story where Daredevil fights Wolverine back when you stuck Wolverine to jump themselves up. I bought those off the stand of the day. I think this is the second appearance of Typhoid Mary. Typhoid Mary, again, a great villainess, if you will. And I absolutely loved this storyline. In fact, I was buying it off the rack when it was coming out. I still have the issues. But what I found fantastic, it might have been in an editorial or letter column or something, but John Romita Jr., who was drawing the book at the time, had based the look of Typhoid Mary on his own wife. So his own wife had the curly 80s big hair, much like Taylor Dane, from what I can tell in this. And she was a fantastic character. I absolutely loved her. Hey, we got the Sumerian on here. Hey, how you doing, guys? Good to see everybody. And then this was $1, and I love this. I already have this issue. I don't know if it's an upgrade or not, but it's in Mylar. That's what's great about. That's why I'm really worried about where this collection came from that I found, because these are in Mylar. These are cared for, and I just have a feeling something bad happened. But I got this beautiful copy of the Invaders number 37 for $1. I already have this one. I'm always working on my Invaders, much like I was working on my Johnny Quest that I showed at the beginning of the stream for you guys popping in here. I have completed the 31 issue run of Kamiko's fantastic Johnny Quest series. Got this for $1.79. And for you guys also jumping in, I also showed off my Fred Hembeck Darkoth card, which I did the whole story. All right, so those are the books I got for $1 at a flea market on a Friday. And the lady that I was telling you about that had the bookstore, all those years of watching Golden Girls paid off, because I thought I was going to pull up a chair and just keep talking to those ladies when I got these books and stuff. It was fantastic. It was fantastic, right? So moving on, after that, I ended up going to Mountain Empire Comics, as I said. And it was sort of funny because apparently, without knowing what I was about to walk into, I did something very polite, nice. Maybe it came off a little awkward. Maybe it came off just fine. Maybe it was just weird. I don't know. But I looked at him and I was like, Rob, the guy who owns the comic book shop. I was just looking at him. I'm like, Rob, I just realized something because the last time that I was in there, he was talking about his age being, I think, 68 years old and referred to me as old friend. I said, Rob, do you realize I've been coming into your shop probably since about 1988? I've had years I didn't go in there because I was moving. Yeah, I moved to other parts I moved around a lot and stuff. But his shop was always at least an hour away with a lot of places I lived. And so I looked at him and I told him, I was like, you realize I've been coming into your shop since about 1988? And, I feel kind of bad because I realized that I've known you longer than I know a lot of the friends I have now. And I was like, I have never asked you out to hang out, to a dinner, go to see one of these superhero movies or anything. So I informed him next time I have some free time, he'll be getting a message to go do that with me, and he will accept. And he was just sort of like, wow, I thought that was going to be weirder the way you started. So he's down for it. So after I said that, I just gone in there to get some boxes, look for 2 issues of a series, a little maxi series, 12-issue maxi series that I can't believe I'm reading. Maybe I'll talk about that later. Then that's what I was going in there, supplies, comic supplies, right? And then all of a sudden he was like, I started looking, he started telling me, he was like, well, you want to look at this comic book collection I bought? He was like, it's got some of the most amazing stuff in it. That wasn't the word, maybe eclectic or something. Anyway, he was excited to show me. It was at this time that when you walk into the shop, he's got these glass booths that make a square where you pay for everything, and it's got shelves in it. And he had Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles first print, number 2, 3, and 4 from 84, 85 or whatever. I used to have 2 of those issues. He had Jack Kirby Fantastic Four, Jack Kirby Thor, Silver Age stuff, key books, Tomb of Dracula and stuff. He'd already gone through a little bit of this collection and had them in the booth and had top dollar on them. So he got some really great stuff. So I just couldn't imagine what was left over. And it turns out that, as I was fearing with these books that I found at the flea market, well, this had come true. Apparently, a man who had collected for a while. He also had High Times magazine and Thrasher magazine in there. A lot of like these fanzines that I had never really seen, and so a lot of underground comics, head shop comics from the 70s and stuff. Apparently, this is what this guy did. He chilled out, played video games, read comic books, and partook of the ganja, if you will. That's what it's looking like. So anyway, I go through there, and I'm going through these books, and I'm like, so he's like, I haven't gone through everything. So I'm sitting here like, so, if I go through this stuff and I find a few things, you're going to work with me. And indeed he did. Indeed he did stuff, right? So first of all, before I started going through the comics, when I got home, and as I was going through these, showing these books on the Cavern of Chaos show on Jared Osborne's channel tonight, I happened to open up one of the books, and I found a Super Nintendo video game guide rule book. These came with the games and stuff for Drakenhand. What is this? Drakon. It's supposed to sound like dragon. So these are always cool, and these could be actually worth a little bit of scratch on eBay, depending on the game and how it is, right? So I talked about a little throwback. I talked about going to Boone, North Carolina, and one person was really selling comics. And I'm not going to show all the comics I got there, and all the comics I got a little bit, they're kind of common. But I fell into an issue of Grendel #1 from Kamiko after Hunter Rose has passed away. For you guys who have been watching, I've told you about going back to 2015 and 16. I had Tylox the Mighty and Scotty X and some other YouTubers and stuff over the years tell me I have to read Grendel. They absolutely love the book. So I've gotten some Kamiko Grendel issues I found for quarter piece to $1 piece. I've got the omnibus that came out that I got for 35% off for pre-order and stuff from Dark Horse. I got #2 setting the second omnibus coming at me and stuff, right? The Kamiko issue. And then I found another one today at the comic book shop that apparently is a newsstand edition. So apparently Kamiko comics made it to the newsstand, even though I never saw them. So I have a direct edition and a newsstand edition of #1. So I've got probably, I think, about a 29 issue run of this Grendel series now, and there was 40 of them made before things happened. Uh, Seems like I had another one. Yes. So speaking of Grendel, before I move on, you guys are in for a treat. These were also there. I got the number 16. Now, if you try to collect this Kimiko series by Grendel, or you already have it and you know about it, this is part one of a mage story. And this is a key book, something about mage being in this one. I highly doubt it's a first appearance. I'm gonna have to look up and see why. But this book is really hard to find, and I've actually seen it be very pricey. So Grendel number 16 goes in the pot, and now I have a really great run of Grendel. And then I love trades and graphic novels and square bound books from the 80s going into the early 90s. This thing is just about a half inch bigger than a Marvel graphic novel, if you will. But this is the pink cover, first print edition. What is this, 86? Now, what he did at the comic book shop is that there's a few things he did, say $5 or $10 on, then the rest of the stuff he gave me half off the cover price. So this is from 1986, barely been cracked open. Looks brand new, maybe just a little bit of wear from being on the shelf at the bottom there, with a forward by Alan Moore from 1986, right? When he still wasn't jaded, if you will, right? So this is fantastic. I have a second printing of this that Dark Horse put out years ago, but this is where he went in and he retold the tale of Hunter Rose. What I really love about this, and I actually was flipping through this on the show and was able to keep my shit together, if you will, but it's got a pinup gallery, and I don't know if these are in the edition that I have, the second print. Steve Bissett, Steve Rue, John Totleben, Arnold Pander, and Jay Geldhoff, which I don't know them. So I've got some pinups from the mid 80s by my favorite team on Alan Moore's Swamp Thing and their Swamp Thing, and Steve Rue Grendel, which is fantastic. I love stuff like that. That's what makes this worth doing. Oh, the Sumerian is out there. He's making some comments. Okay, Kimiko was great. Was sick as a dog last week. Spent the time rereading old favorites. Actually read Mage, The Here Discovered, and a bunch of Legends of the Dark Knight. That's what comic books are all about. That's how people found them. They were in the hospital and sick as they were kids who were sick in the hospital and stuff and things like that. It's comfort. It's comfort. It's the best time to read comic books if you're able to do it and you're not super sick. So I'm going to go ahead and show a little bit more here. This is beat up, odd hell, but I still like it. And it was $1. I mean, how could I pass it up? This was left over from the flea market. When I looked over and just saw it was underneath that Grendel. But I found an amazing Spider-Man Silver Age, number 79. Second appearance of the Prowler. So it cracks me up that the Prowler has fans, and every now and then the Prowler appearances are keys. It cracks me up. I look at the Prowler and I'm like, what are they seeing? I don't get it. He actually looks like an old 1930s/40s villain to me in my eyes with that mask. Okay, so onward with the collection, but we got a Marvel team up, Spider-Man and Iron Man from 1984, number 145. Significance of this, right? Well, when this came out, for some reason, this was one of the most satisfying reads I had, apparently, in 1984. I was 11 years old. And I've talked about it before, but around 85, naming names, Chris Hicks and stuff, named the name. Pretty sure he's the one that stole a bunch of comics out of my room. And this was in the stack. So it's been reclaimed. It seems like I might have found this issue a couple months ago, but I don't know. We'll find out. But anyway, just a little bit book that has been reclaimed from the childhood. About time. Also found the Mayfair Batman role-playing game guidebook. I have a few of these. The trick with these Mayfair games is I never played these games in the 80s. I never role-played any of these DC modules, which I would have loved. But I got a little bit of a collection going now of some of the modules, some of the rule books. I got Legion and Titan stuff and Batman stuff. But the trick is you have to be careful, as I found out. If you have a source book or a role-playing book, these things came with detachable like posters and maps, and they're usually not in there. I have a Batman source book I was just thrilled to get to. I found out it was supposed to have had a huge map layout of the Batcave, and I'm like, damn it, you know, in my best Napoleon Dynamite voice, if I could do it. Taking a break from the comic for a minute to show you this little gem, the Spirit. This is a promotional poster. This was free, well, that I found in the box, right? They just don't make him like they used to. Will Eisner's Spirit, and we come up. This is from 1986. And as you can see, coming soon on ABC TV. Check your local listings. From Kitchen Sink Press. Yes, they were trying to do a TV show of the Spirit. It was going to be played by Sam the Flash Gordon Jones from the Flash movie. And I actually saw the TV pilot / TV movie or whatever it was here on YouTube. It may still be out there. And all I got to say is I think they made the right choice not picking it up or whatever happened there, right? But it was good stuff. Oh. All right, something else I got, and it was a great price for this. But this is from 1990, first print. Like I said, I just love these trades before trades were a thing. This was like the dawning, the early years, the Jurassic era of trades, if you will. Eddie Campbell's Dead Face. Oh man, what is this dude's name? Of course, Here I Am. Anyway, I'm trying to think. This has an introduction by Neil Gaiman in it. And I cannot believe I'm going blank on this because I've just read a few stories in Dark Horse Presents of this character, Brachus. But anyway, he is the god of drink. He looks like an old Popeye-like sailor, all dressed in black. And then all of a sudden, you find out that he is a god. And Eddie Campbell does the spectacular stuff of showing you that he is a god, if you will, and stuff, right? So this is a trade. I don't know if this is a collected edition from the Dark Horse Comics or wherever Eddie Campbell ended up publishing these, or if this is all new material. I have no idea. So I'm actually looking forward to jumping into the unknown. And this also, like I said, has an introduction by Neil Gaiman at the time. So he's a Brachus fan. Also caught his, this character also, I believe, had a little cameo, if you know where to look, in Alan Moore's From Hell. Eddie Campbell's From Hell books about Jack the Ripper that Alan Moore put out. In my mind, that's the first place I've seen Eddie Campbell. Probably ran across him before, just don't remember. So moving on, a lot of books, guys, a lot of books. Glad you're sticking in here, right? A book I actually regret getting rid of the collection, at least the first couple issues, but the artwork just killed me. It really killed me. I played D&D for about 5 straight years with the same people in the 80s. Advanced Dungeons and Dragons is number 1. I kept the Forgotten Realms books, right? So you had Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, you had Forgotten Realms, you had Dragonlance, and you had Spelljammer eventually. TSR, made a little licensing deal with DC to put out these books. I think they lasted about 3 years, 2 years, 3 years, whatever. Depends on the book. Some lasted longer than others. Maybe they all ended at the same time, and because they didn't begin at the same time, most of them. But anyway, you had the people who, like Jeff Grubb is the name, but they actually had people who worked at TSR, who worked with Gary Gygax on Dungeons and Dragons, actually doing the stories and stuff, right? So I probably hung in there for like the first year of this book, got rid of it because basically the artwork is terrible. Forgotten Realms, still love it, still have it. I think I have 1 issue to complete the run and stuff, right? So very happy to find that. When I read this, I really hope it all doesn't come flashing back because you either like Jan's artwork or you don't. Okay, but I felt this was rough when I was reading it. I was like, please. What do we got here? Grabbing old RPGs cheap is always cool. You have anyone you can still play with those? Ever played the old TMT? No, I didn't play that one. Actually, it goes Dungeons and Dragons, probably some GURPS, some mixed up stuff, some BattleTech over the years, and then got into the White Wolf vampire games, Werewolf the Apocalypse, Vampire the Dark Ages, and then of all people, I took my son with me probably around 2010 or 11. I took him somewhere in an antique shop. There was the, I think, 2nd edition of the Star Wars role playing game, the original book. So I did a campaign or two with him, and he nailed it. It felt good getting back in there and creating and stuff. Oh man, what else was I? What was that? There was another one I played. Anyway, now this one, oh, I have a little guilt with. I don't know, but I think I got this one for maybe $3, maybe $1. I don't really remember. Right, this came out of the guy's collection, like I said. But I'll just kind of show it. Maybe someone may know the significance. There is a clue, but this is Dark Horse Presents number 10, um, early in the anthology series. So we can get that glare off of here. But you see right there, the mask. This is the first appearance of the mask, which became a Jim Carrey movie, if you will, right? So this is to me this feels like a major key. But I got the first appearance of the mask. I love Dark Horse Presents, and I was really, this is one of the books where I was like, yeah, I'll never run across it, I'll never get it. And lo and behold, there it was in fantastic condition. Hey, Wilson is here. How you doing, Wilson? Good to see you, brother. Just going through some of the stuff, and I've mentioned the stream that was going on tonight over at the Cavern of Chaos on Jared's channel. Good to see you. Everybody wish Wilson well. He got under the weather. That's all I'll say there. So yeah, he's seen some of this stuff because I showed it on that stream here, but I'm slowing down, taking my time with you guys, right? So issue 12 of Amazing Man. I really never, I think I knew, but I didn't find that interesting. But there was some story behind what Amazing Man was trying to do in that world of grim and gritty. It lasted 12 issues. And of course, I passed this up in dollar bins before. I think there was one time I thought about it. But if you are a Frank Miller Dark Knight Returns fan and want to be a completist, this is the Frank Miller cover, with our Dark Knight team there, Carrie Kelly and Old Man Wayne, if you will. And there's a dream sequence there. But yes, that is an actual Frank Miller cover of Dark Knight Returns. I really don't know why that thing did not take off a little bit more back when Frank Miller was, what's the word I'm looking for? There's nothing I can say without being mean, but basically, he was a bit more in his prime back then. Completed my Elementals Volume 1 run with issue number 29. So I have all 29s of Volume 1 of it. Bill Willingham's Elementals, highly recommended. And these were a treat to find. I just love these 80s square bound books. Can I say it enough? But we have Akira number 2. Now, I was informed tonight that I don't know a lot about these. I have a issue or two lingering around, but nothing substantial. But from what I understand, the first couple issues, early issues, the earlier you go, the easier they are to get. But as the book progresses and you get into the higher numbers, it's the higher numbers that are harder to find and cost a little scratch. But I have number 2, number 3. Love this cover. Love this cover. Those blues mixed in with the blacks, just give you that 80s feel. The Akira manga is, I'm sure, going to be fantastic. But the anime is, I find it all over the place. I have it on Blu-ray, DVD. This classic stuff. And number 6. Now, this is a personal favorite of mine. I think these square bound books look great on a shelf. I think they're just sharp. But this series in particular is a bit of a key because it's the actual first comic book appearance of a character. And today, when I was going through these, I found about 4 issues. I went through my CLZ list, found I had 3 of them, so I just needed this number 2 out of the stack I made. I think this book ran for 20 issues. I have over half of them. I got 2 trades that I think reprints all of them, but I want all the issues. I'm always keeping an eye on them. And I actually had to pay a little bit for these because it's for this one's Clive Barker. But what I did is as I was going through these on my app, there was a person in the comic book shop talking to the owner, and he just kind of looked over and he was like, "Are those good?" And he's definitely much younger than me. And I turned around and I'm like, "Well, I like them. They're pre-Vertigo, if you know what Vertigo is." And I didn't mean that in an insulting way, but I also told him. But I was like, there's 2, 3 stories in each one. If you don't like one story, just move on. I'm like, I found maybe 3 duds out of 10 issues, if that many. Oh, what we got here? Your cat is getting much larger. Yes, yes. Yeah, we're fearing for our lives on some nights, but she's chilled out a whole lot. She's not the problem. She's standoffish and has diva attitude, as you can see. And the fact that she is sitting on that top tower instead of on top of the cabinet, cats have a thing about social status. Whoever's highest, is king or alpha, whatever you want to say. So the fact that maybe she heard me. Oh, I embarrassed her talking about her. We'll leave her alone. It's okay, Shiva. Eric Breen. The Breen is here. I came across the last two issues of Kira, and they and then like you are pushing 50. Then I deserve them. We all us 50-year-olds need to all stick together. 50. Oh man, $50 a piece. That's amazing. Great joke, Breen. I appreciate that one. Speaking of Clive Barker, have you seen the Hulu Hellraiser? No, I have not. But I'll tell you what, I watch Hellraiser 2 regularly and Nightbreed. Nightbreed is my favorite as much as Hellraiser 2 is the movie out of all of them, in my opinion. Nightbreed is like the best B movie, unintentional B movie ever. I love Nightbreed. I'm wanting to get all the epic books. Here we go. 62 Lefty Blues. My dog is the same way with social status. Yes, yes. I like how they think sometimes I just think these animals love us if they can love, literally love, or like we understand it, or if they just think we're stupid. Brain, I wish I was pushing 50. You look like a man of 42. I'm just saying, Brain. Just saying. So anyway, here's number 2. And I was really happy to find this because issue 1, I believe, there's an Alex Ross cover, and I don't think it's number 1. If I was downstairs, I could just pull from the shelf behind me. But this is the first actual comic book story on the inside, comic book appearance of Pinhead. Okay. Is that Hulu show? Who asked me that? Yeah, Sumerian, does that Hulu show, does it have a female Pinhead in it? Is that what I'm understanding? And then a little personal fave of mine, Lone Wolf and Cub. HBO Max right now, and hopefully they're still there. I was trying to get through them if they were gone, but they have a ton of the Lone Wolf and Cub movies from the 70s. And I got to tell you, they're spectacular. They're spectacular. Oh, man, and just where they're subtitled, I have to pick a time when I can focus, so I can know what's going on. But yeah, Lone Wolf and Cub, number 18. A little concerned about the rubbing on that one, but maybe one day I'll just go ahead and upgrade that one. Number 20. I think there were 41 of these. Mike Ploog came in the 30s and did the covers, I think, for the rest of the series. That's why those are hard to find. But I dig my Lone Wolf and Cub, man. Cannot say enough about them. Great stuff. Great stuff. Running. Let me look around. I always do this. I think I'm done. And then I'm not. I find some stuff. Now, I've got some stuff over there I bought. It's pretty common stuff, but I've got a few keys in there. I might save those for later. And I might have a few other things to say. What are you doing, Shiva? But like I said, the big one that I'm very proud of. And it cracks me up because I can't get over the fact that this got over 50 out of 50 thumbs up on Facebook when there's probably only like 10 people on my Facebook that collect comics. But like I said, there's people that collect baseball cards and things like that that totally got that. When I put the picture up and said the quest is over, I finally have all 31 issues of Johnny Quest from the series. I had a lot of support, a lot of Johnny Quest fans out there apparently and stuff, right? Here we go. Wilson, Hellraiser number 7, Hellraiser number 17. First cover art by Alex Ross. Interesting. I have that one. I love it. And believe it or not, I found it in a dollar bin. It's fantastic. What is this? What about Rawhead Rex? What about him there, Blues? What about him? Okay, thanks, guys. This is why I always like doing YouTube. We're all in this together. Somebody doesn't know something, there's somebody right there sharing, finding information, fact checking in the right way, and getting it all together, man. So I appreciate everybody to take on the live show here. I appreciate everybody that is taking their time on a wild Friday night to hang around for 45 minutes while I show a fantastic comic book haul. I think it's fantastic, considering it was totally spontaneous to know it was coming. And remember, guys, and for you guys in the future who are watching this in the rewind, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the little bell so you know when I do this. It's a bit spontaneous now with my schedule, my traveling, my side projects and hobbies, and all sorts of things, and my cats. Are you tired, Shiva? We have a cat right beside me that's just done. But anyway, thanks a lot, guys. And remember, be excellent to each other. We're all in this together. Later.